So hello everyone. Hello everyone from Ludium and everyone from Cosmos ecosystem and everyone who might be watching the show live. This is Road to Global Stage, Road to Dubai specifically, featuring interviews of different sponsors and different ecosystems who are participating as a sponsor and the supporting organizations of Road to Global Stage. So to briefly go over, Road to Global Stage is a Web3 builder initiative that's bringing builders to Bangkok and Dubai. And our program right now specifically is to try to educate and build open source modules and conduct a little contest in local area in Korea to bring more builders to Cosmoverse and Hackmoz on October. Today we invite Dark Matter from Accelerator to discuss in depth about what's happening in Cosmos. As you all know, Cosmos is vibrating again, pulsating, and very exciting things are happening right now. And we're closely watching all the things that are being happened very recently. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Dark Matter. That's Twitter. I actually never caught your name or like the name that you go by. How would I call you? How should I call you?
Yeah, normally I just my name is Mark. So normally I just say Mark from Denmark. Easy to remember, right?
Ah,
But yeah, thank you so much for inviting. Excited to talk about Cosmos and the Cosmos Hub, of course. So yeah, appreciate the invite.
Mark from Denmark. I'll never forget that. I guess that's a very simple and catchy name to actually go by. So
Exactly.
let's dive right into it. So, can you briefly introduce yourself a little bit and like how you got into crypto? It's always exciting to hear because all the audiences here are mostly geared towards the new builders who are coming to crypto and trying to be a builder here. So it would be great to share your story and be able to know how you got immersed into more particularly Cosmos ecosystem.
Definitely, definitely. I'll try not to go too far back. My beard is getting white, so I have some years on my back here that we need to go through. But the way I got into crypto, I mean, I guess people in crypto they come from all walks of life, right? Some people are super technical, more economics background related. Like I'm a bit of a mix, so I've been building all my life, really. But my education is from an economics background. I have been working as a CTO for the past 3-4 years, and been in Cosmos for I would say 2-3 years actively. Started in Ethereum, like most other people. Heard about Bitcoin, way back, but it didn't really catch my attention much because I didn't get too excited about digital gold. I thought it would be much more interesting to actually be able to build something on
Mm.
top of a chain. That's what Ethereum pretty much enabled. So Ethereum really was the eureka moment for me, and I think for many other people back in 16 and 17. And since then, I've been contributing to multiple different projects building in Ethereum. Balancer, most people would know, Balancer Phi, uh, one of the largest DEXs and AMMs in the Ethereum ecosystem. I worked on building out the real world assets pool. They call it managed pool because you can't just make it permissionless when you deal with the real world assets or real world tokens.
Mm.
You have to add, for example, whitelisting is one permission you need to set. Um, and that was great. I respect the Balancer team tremendously, and they're still rocking it over there. But I started to pay more and more attention to Cosmos for the app chain pieces. I think IBC is a piece of art, really. A lot of the tech stack in Cosmos is absolutely amazing, if you ask me. And then, yeah, I started inviting teams to spaces with the Cosmos Club account that I used to host people on. So I spoke to a lot of different teams just out of curiosity what people were building there. And then slowly but surely immersed myself into the Cosmos ecosystem and ended up as joining as a grant lead at the AADAO. AADAO Accelerator, which is my current role, helping teams building, accelerating the Cosmos ecosystem and the Cosmos Hub in particular.
Yeah, that's a very exciting journey, all the way from like hearing Bitcoin for the first time to like building into or getting interested into Ethereum ecosystem and getting to become a builder like yourself as a economics background. And then I mean, I would love to hear a little bit more about like the way in which you are got interested into Cosmos ecosystem, particularly because like the new shiny kids on the block, like for example like the multi-chain and like the chain abstraction of all things are coming into like a scenery these days, and it seems like a lot of those new chains or like a lot of those like new so-called like new kids on the block are using Cosmos IBC like a stack integrated into it, and to be able to claim that they have a multi-chain like integrated into their system. So yeah, could you explain a little bit more about that and like why you are particularly interested in Cosmos?
Definitely. So I think it's mainly from a technical standpoint why I was falling more and more in love with the Cosmos ecosystem. Cosmos got so many things right from the beginning, if you ask me. The consensus mechanism, sentiment, Comet BFT. I mean, Ethereum merged over from proof of work to proof of stake. And that in itself, I think, is proof that Cosmos really gets a lot of things right from the beginning. Whereas, for example, Ethereum, they ship something and then they iterate from there. But yeah, so the consensus mechanism, proof of stake, Cosmos got right. IBC, I mean, right now people are waking up to all these different bridges and bridge vulnerabilities, exploits, etc. I'm sure we've all heard at least of various different examples.
Yeah.
We don't have that in Cosmos, right? We have IBC, and clearly it's becoming maybe the poster child, the golden standard to how we move assets around different chains. And just those two things, there are more building blocks, of course, in the Cosmos tech stack. It just shows again and again that we were right from the beginning. I'm sure we're going to talk about this in a minute or later in this talk. But for example, inheriting economic security, in our case from the Cosmos Hub, when we talk about Cosmos, using replicated security or partial set security as of recent, which is possible. That's something that most ecosystems are waking up to today, right? And starting talking about restaking and all these different ways of renting economic security from others. We've been doing that in the Cosmos Hub for years now, right? With replicated security, starting with Neutron, and now partial set security with the LS network that's coming live pretty soon. But I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. But yeah, ultimately, in a nutshell, what I love about Cosmos is that we tend to get a lot of things right. The history will show that at least. And I don't see why we shouldn't get these things right in the future also. So yeah, I think it's an ecosystem that is here to stay for a very long time because we get things right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a killer feature that, like, from the very beginning that IBC has presented. That was like, the seamless swap between the networks within the IBC or Cosmos SDK stack of things, and that is like finally coming into fruition because like with all the the recent like L2s moving like in a way adopting the Cosmos vision of like seamless swaps and like seamless like interchange of things. That in a way is endorsing what Cosmos has already been doing and like moving slowly towards that direction. And then in that sense, Cosmos as being ahead of that is in a significant advantage, I would say. I would believe. But I guess that also brings to another question, maybe a little bit of somber note, but maybe not. But I mean, Cosmos as a tech stack has been on a spot. I don't think anyone is doubting that. To be honest, but Cosmos Hub, on the other hand, had not been known well for being in a good forefront, I guess. And you were touching on the ICS and all that kind of stuff. I think that's kind of like a reinvigorating of the Cosmos Hub and like reshaping the whole ecosystem into a new picture, Cosmos 2.0 and all that kind of stuff. So I guess we should probably go deeper into that. So before we start on that, what is AADAO? And how is that Cosmos? How does the Cosmos Hub as a whole fit into or like be has a relationship with AADAO?
Yeah, so let's just talk about Cosmos Hub for a brief moment before diving into AADAO. I guess would be a good way to segue. I mean, Cosmos Hub is finally becoming the actual hub. I don't think we can say that historically that it's been doing that. It's just been another app chain, right? And most people conceptually, when they think about ecosystems, if I want to bet on the Ethereum ecosystem, you buy ETH. If I want to bet on the Solana ecosystem, you buy Sol. But if you want to bet on the Cosmos ecosystem, what do you buy, right? Atom, most people would do, but historically at least, not now, because we fixed that, or we are fixing that. But historically, when you bought Atom, let's say on a centralized exchange, you move that Atom to Cosmos Hub, and you realize, I can't do anything here, right? And then people would normally move the Atom to Osmosis or any other app chain. So it was a bit of a downer, I guess, for most people when they realized that, okay, betting on Cosmos is not necessarily betting on Atom. There's been a lot of debate historically on what is the role and the purpose of Atom, et cetera, et cetera. Now, with replicated security, partial security, and really Atom sort of finding its place, Atom as money, as interchain money, is starting to unfold, which is great to see, right? We have all these different chains and projects coming to the hub and wants to build on the hub. So now, when people want to get into Cosmos and they first buy Atom for the first time, which is normally how people would start getting interested and onboarded into Cosmos, they can actually do stuff with Atom, right? They can move over and do stuff on Neutron. They can do stuff with Alice soon, partial security. They can do stuff with things with Stride, another consumer chain. So there's a bunch of things you can do, and there's more coming, which is great to see. Now, what is AADAO? Atom Accelerator DAO. We started out last year. So we are quite a new organization, I guess you can say. We are a bit more than a year old, I guess. And we started purely as a grants program to accelerate people building on Cosmos and the Cosmos Hub in particular. So we are a grants program, like many other grants programs. That's how we started out. Now, going into this year in 2024, so last year was sort of a pilot, if you will. This year, we're really beefing up the team because we can see there's a need for acceleration with all these different technical features coming to the hub. We need to reap the benefits of these technical features. Going back to what I was saying before, Cosmos got a lot of things right on the technical side, but on the business side, business development, adoption, etc., there's a lot of things we can improve on, I think. And that's where AADAO comes in. Like, we want to bring in builders to build on the Cosmos Hub and Cosmos in general. We want to help those teams, support those teams, both with funding, of course, on grants, but also steering them, right? Helping them navigate the Cosmos ecosystem, navigate the Cosmos tech stack, like all these different things we can support on. So last year was a pilot, purely grants. This year, we actually have 3 legs to stand on. So we still have grants. So I'm the grants lead. Obviously, that's going to be the flag that I'm going to be waving. But we actually have 2 other legs that we stand on now as an accelerator. One is quadratic funding. So you might know of Gitcoin or other similar initiatives using quadratic funding, where basically the community votes on what typically public goods to fund. And then AADAO has submitted or committed to match funds from the community. So it's a more democratic process, if you will, to vote on which public goods should get funded and which are not so relevant to get funded. So quadratic funding, grants, and the final leg that we stand on is venture grants. where we invest classic venture deals. We invest a certain amount of money, and we get tokens in return. The first venture grant that we did that people can check out is Ellis Network, the first chain that is coming online on the hub using PSS, partial security. They're building a DeFi ecosystem using perps. Perps is something that doesn't exist in a big way, at least in Cosmos. There are obviously app chains doing it, but it's not existing on the hub. So we're very excited to bring perpetuals, etc., to the hub with Ellis. And we have many other exciting venture deals in the pipeline, which is going to both help the Cosmos hub and the broader Cosmos ecosystem. So yeah, I'll pause there, but that's essentially what we work on: quadratic funding using QF, grants, and venture grants.
Yeah, I think the way in which you're describing is really exciting because, like, as you're propelling the Atom ecosystem forward, there are multiple opportunities for new builders to onboard because, I mean, as you explained, grant, and I was actually looking at DoraHex QF that you were mentioning, and it seemed like it was a huge success. Could you shill a little bit on that, because I was kind of surprised like how many people like participated and like the amount in which that got like, you know, actually got funded, because I believe it was like 600 like, or like very very many people like joined that QF round. It was kind of exciting.
Yeah, we've been very positively surprised, and shout out to the DoraHex team. We love working with Brian and his team over at DoraHex. They are truly shipping and delivering on bringing public funding and quadratic funding to the masses. So yeah, DoraHex, I don't know if people can see the link, but it's dorahex.io/AEC, Atom Economics Zone, /leaderboard, for example, if you want to see the current rounds. So the gist of it all is that there are different rounds. We have funded 10 rounds of QF. So, you know, if you don't make it, if a public good doesn't make it in one round, they can either move to the second round, adjust whatever the community wants them to adjust, and then apply again. Or of course, new projects come in. Right now we are on the round 3. There's 51 days left for projects to come in, community members to vote. And when I say vote, by the way, it's voting, of course, with their wallet, but you can't just, with QF, how it works, you can't just come in and say, let's say you are a whale, right? And you say, I want to fund 10,000 Atom or 100,000 Atom, and then your project is 100% likely to get funded. You can't do that, right? It's the power of the masses. Like, you need more votes in order to be ranking number 1 in the leaderboard. So whales can't just grab the whole thing. But ultimately what happens is contributors vote with their wallets, and then we are matching the contributions from the community members. Mm-hmm. So we're matching 10 rounds. Let's see if we go beyond the 10 rounds. Maybe the community just want to continue going after the round 10. Or maybe we see so much value in QF with Dora that we extend beyond the 10 rounds. But yeah, bottom line is projects can come in if they have a good idea of something they find missing in the Cosmos ecosystem, both in the broader ecosystem, but also in Cosmos Hub, of course. They can come in, submit their project, then community members, users in Cosmos, they go in and vote. And then you can see the ranking on dorahex.io/AC/leaderboard. So yeah, guys, anyone listening or re-listening, go in there and vote to see what projects you want to see next on Cosmos.
Yeah, I guess, and we're just touching on the QF of things, but as you said, like you were mentioning about the grant and the venture round of things that AADAO is actively pursuing or investing even to try to shape up or to try to boost the ecosystem and the projects that are coming in. So I guess that's a great opportunity for builders. But I guess that like touches on like the great grand scheme of things that you were mentioning earlier about for the lack of a better word, make Atom great again. Like as you said, like the economic disalignment that Cosmos was in a way suffering from, because Cosmos Hub was there, but like although IBC is thriving in terms of like so many tech stacks are being adopted for IBC purposes and the Cosmos SDK, but at the same time it wasn't giving all the way back to, or like the I guess the harvests that were being made weren't sown directly back to Cosmos Hub perspective, and you guys are fixing that problem through all these kind of initiative. And then I think that in a way segues to, or like is summarized in terms of Atom economic zone. I was looking into the concept of things, and that was really interesting. And the I guess it also touches on the ICS of things that we were mentioning earlier. Could you explain a little bit more details into that, and like how that grand plan of Cosmos ecosystem is going to be achieved through these grants and like QF and venture round of things?
Definitely. So just for context for everybody, historically, when you wanted to build in Cosmos, you build an app chain, meaning a sovereign chain where you have your own token, your own governance token, which is also the gas token. You pay in whatever token you define for doing stuff on the network. And with that, you end up having, if you go on Map of Zones, I saw that you had Map of Zones up, but you can go on their website and you can see all the different zones or app chains that are live on the interchain in Cosmos, basically.
89 or something like that. Yeah, I'm looking at the site.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it's growing, hopefully. That's what we're trying to make sure of, at least. So that's great, right? It proves the app chain thesis that people are interested in this. Now, what has happened historically is that running your own chain is expensive and it's tedious. There's a lot of overhead you need to take care of to run your own chain. And typically it gets quite expensive, right? You need to pay validators, all these different things. And you see that, generally speaking, in relatively high inflation for different Cosmos chains, because they need to inflate in order to pay validators and to pay for the network to keep running. So Cosmos Hub and the contributors in the Cosmos Hub ecosystem started working on how do chains replicate security or rent security from the Cosmos Hub. So they don't need to run their own app chain, but they can still deploy their chain, but rent security from the Cosmos Hub. So this is what we called replicated security when it first came out. Basically, when you have replicated security, you need the exact same validator set as the rest of the Cosmos Hub. And that proved or turned out to be a bit of a problem for some chains to onboard. Not necessarily for new chains and new projects, because they didn't have existing validators they need to talk to. But you can imagine, let's say, the 100 chains that are live right now, if they're considering renting security from Cosmos Hub, they need to align the validator set. So what happened is we came up with partial set security, where basically validators can opt in. So basically, when there's an overlap between validator sets, you can have that sort of
intertwined,
use those validators. And that's we're very excited to see how many chains are going to both new chains and existing chains, where it's proving to be tedious and expensive to run your own chain without having that many benefits of doing so. We are certainly in talks with multiple different teams on how we can get them to deploy on Cosmos Hub. And with that is where the narrative sort of with Atom as interchain money, interchain gas, interchain capital, whatever we call it, but basically Atom being used because people don't want to have, maybe you know this also from your own experience, people don't want to have like 100 different tokens in the wallet, right? Where they need to keep a little bit to pay for gas on all these different networks. They prefer to just use one,
right?
Compared to, for example, ETH, Atom in our world, to do all the things that you want to do on the interchain. So yeah, the Atom Economic Zone makes up the Cosmos Hub, of course, as the main chain, and then all the different consumer chains that the uses either replicated security and partially security. So examples of this is Neutron. You have Stride also, and I mentioned Alice a few times. So there are more and more chains renting security from the hub that makes up the Atom Economic Zone. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the way in which I was seeing it, maybe it's I don't know if it's an apt analogy, but it's more like an international trade agreement in a sense, like WTO kind of things. In a way, you guys already have a good sense of like, I mean, as Adam as a port city, I mean, as you know, was explained in like the other articles before, it seems like the way in which the communication and the interswap is already there, but at the same time, by securing this Atom Economic Zone, it seemed a lot like signing a treaties agreement, saying that, you know, let's agree on certain sets of rules so that, like, you know, certain taxations can be shared, and like in the form of gas fee, I guess, or some of the, you know, works are being shared, such as you were mentioning about the validator set and like the security provision of sets. And that seemed a little bit like, in a way, like that seemed a little bit similar to what, you know, Ethereum and Ethereum L2 is going, but it seemed a little bit different in because of the peculiarities or like the characteristics of the Atom ecosystem and the IBC that has already been shaped. And like the way in which I was seeing is more like a, I mean, I don't know if it's an apt analogy or not, but like Ethereum becoming a little bit more like a U.S. kind of like a way of like having the states and stuff, but like Atom a little bit seemed a little bit more like an EU zone kind of like way in which I was seeing it. I don't know if this is right or not.
Yeah, I think the analogy holds true to a large extent, for sure. Like you have all these different. And by the way, I want to emphasize that we still want to have more app chains coming to Cosmos, and we still approve grants and grantees that are building their own app chain. So it's not like AADAO, for example, or anyone representing the Cosmos Hub doesn't want to see more adoption in the broader Cosmos ecosystem. There's definitely good reasons why you would deploy your own sovereign chain still. It's just to have, you know, an alternative for those builders where it does not make sense necessarily to set up your own chain and all the overhead related to set up your own chain. So the way people should think about it, anyone building out there, is that you can choose between three options, right? You can either just deploy a DApp, just like you would deploy a DApp using Solidity on Ethereum.
Right.
Now you can do that, for example, on Neutron. Build a DApp on Neutron using Cosmosm. If you want to go beyond that and you need a bit more flexibility than what Neutron will give you when you deploy that, you can go with building your own consumer chain on the Cosmos Hub, where you have more flexibility and sovereignty, but you inherit sort of the validator set from the Cosmos Hub. And then if you want to go full-blown, you know, customization and you want to do the whole thing yourself for whatever reason, you can build your own app chain. So it's sort of like a menu card that you that you pick and choose from as a developer, which I think is great because, again, adoption-wise, we've got a lot of things right, technology-wise in Cosmos, but the adoption and activity, etc., has not picked up as a result of this enough, if you ask me. And hopefully this will fix that, right? Because as you get more builders being able to build different things, you know, either a DApp or consumer chain or app chain, you start seeing all these different applications and use cases, and then users hopefully will start piling in also.
Yeah, I guess that really touches on like the next thing that we were trying to get into, because like we're like as an organization focusing on the builder onboarding and transitioning their, whether as an individual builder trying to transition their career, or startup founders, as you were saying, the projects who are trying to build their dApps or the app chains or like any other form or shape of like new adoption of things, that it seems like as you're saying, the like now that like through Atom Economic Zone, builders are given the option like in Ethereum to start in a small scale. I mean, as you said, building a dApp is much less hassle than like building a full blown out app chain, which is like a very very like cumbersome like work, and it requires a lot of like raising and all that kind of stuff. But like to start out quickly, smart contract or like anything equivalent to that, like on-chain programs would be easier. And then now you have that option within the Atom ecosystem to be able to choose within the menu which one to do. And then at the same time, what we were discussing before is with the help of AADAO, that you can be reimbursed or funded for your initiative, and that gives a huge advantage to the builders to be able to onboard into the Cosmos Hub ecosystem as an individual builder or as a more seasoned project. Am I taking that correctly?
Spot on. So I have very little to add. This is exactly what we're trying to do here.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that sounds very interesting, because like that's something that we'll be definitely be able to communicate more with all the builders out there, and for those who are participating in the whether it be through the Road to Dubai or through any other further initiative, to be able to channel them and be able to let them know that in Cosmos ecosystem you can actually build something, and then you would actually be able to be able to thrive. I guess that also segues into the final question that we have is, AADAO has sponsored Road to Dubai, which is to bring local builders, especially in Korea, to be able to participate in education and be able to understand all these kind of concepts and how to build on Cosmos Hub and the Cosmosm or app chain stack of things, so that they will be able to participate in Cosmoverse, which is, as far as I know, the biggest annual event that Cosmos ecosystem can offer over the course of the year. So why did AADAO sponsor this program, and what does AADAO expect from this as a result of the program?
Yeah, so we want to bring more builders to the ecosystem. Now we have the menu card, as we refer to it as. And by the way, there are probably going to be more options on that menu card throughout the year. So we want to start engaging builders. We want to show them that there's another path than Ethereum, which most people look to. Now maybe also Solana. I guess a lot of people are building also in there, of course. But I think Cosmos still has a unique a role to play in crypto and our industry as a whole in blockchain when you deploy things. If you look at how the internet has evolved, it's much more like the setup that Cosmos has built, the tech stack that we built, not a monolithic setup, right? So we want to make sure builders know about that option. First of all, it doesn't mean we're not forcing anybody to build in Cosmos, of course. We're just asking them to check it out, so it's on their radar, play around with it, tinker with it, see if there's any benefits to what you're trying to achieve, the application or whatever your project is. Because again, I want to underline, like, Cosmos from a technical standpoint has gotten a lot of things right from the get-go. I've spoken to a number of Ethereum developers in particular, the headache is getting larger and larger when you always constantly have to upgrade and change things because the Ethereum network is changing. That's not to say that Cosmos is not changing and the tech stack is not changing. It's just to say that we're not changing, for example, the consensus mechanism, like very core things to the tech stack and the setup. So yeah, I think Cosmos is definitely here to stay. We're making sure that Atom is going to get up there again in the rankings in terms of market cap. I mean, one criticism that a lot of people is giving us is that Atom is
where's the price section?
Exactly, money talks to a lot of people, but honestly, I think that's gonna come. have tremendous sort of hope for Adam, especially the initiatives that we're taking here. Various different core organizations and contributing to the Cosmos ecosystem, including AADAO. We're getting more users, we're getting more chains onboarded. So there will be definitely value accrual to the Atom token, like we haven't seen before. But it starts with the builders and ends there if we don't manage to get the builders on board, because they ultimately are the ones who needs to see this and to sort of adopt the tech stack and the opportunity there is in the Cosmos ecosystem. And by the way, and that's going back to what you were asking in terms of why we were sponsoring and why we wanted to push this. Now is the time, right? The winners of tomorrow is when everybody seems to be in a depressive mode when they look at the price action. But if you ask me, at least, the winners of tomorrow is
the one who moves during the dread and the fear is, at the atmosphere. You gotta walk when everyone stops, kind of deal.
Exactly. That will get you ahead much faster than when everybody is excited and everybody is paying attention to it. Then it's too late, oftentimes, at least. So yeah, that's why we wanted to go out a bit more aggressive and onboard builders, because obviously, I just mentioned the example of Ellis, right? They're building the first perpetual exchange on the hub. That will be their claim to fame, I'm sure, in many, many years. But who's building, I don't know, the first NFT marketplace on the hub? Who's building the first whatever on the hub, right? We would love to see that. And now is the time to grab that opportunity, if you ask me, at least.
Yeah, it's open grasp for all the builders out there, because it's in a way it's a reinvigoration of Atom. Although it has been around for how long of a time, Cosmos Hub, but at the same time it is reshaping and actively recruiting all the builders. So for all the listeners who are tuning into this show, and those who will be participating in Road to Dubai in Korea, I'm sure will be interested in, and Ludium is really interested in, Cosmos ecosystem just in general, and how to reshape the interconnected future through IBC. So, well, Mark?
It's a little bit like, sorry to interrupt, but it's a little bit like using your analogy before. On Ethereum, a lot of people have grabbed the prime real estate in New York, in San Francisco, like all those things have been built out on Ethereum, right? But to use your analogy about Europe and Cosmos, like who is building out Copenhagen, where I'm sitting, for example, or Paris, or
it's very peaceful, and it's a very beautiful city, by the way. You can inhabit. I mean, people can inhabit there.
Who's building that out, right? Or even if we take the analogy a step further, let's say the capital of the Cosmos hub is, let's say, is Brussels, just because ECC is going on. Who's going to build out all the, the city hall and the big hospital and all that on Cosmos Hub? So yeah, I think now is the time for people to grab that opportunity.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful opportunity. It's a wonderful time, most wonderful time. During the semi-bull or bear, whichever side you're on, I guess, market of things. I mean, it's the best time to build, and as always, it's the best time to shine. And I think it was a very good interview today for all the builders out there to understand what Cosmos Hub is going towards, and what are the programs that the builders can expect through AADAO. And do you have any further the last remarks that you would like to make before we end this interview?
I just want to make sure that people know where to go. Go on AtomAccelerator.com to check out how to apply for grants if you're interested in building. You can obviously follow us on Twitter, etc. Atom Accelerator. It's the same handle, really. So yeah, any questions, of course, feel free to reach out to us. We're not a type of organization where we just sit passively and wait for people to apply. We are doing a lot of outreach. We're talking to a lot of teams who not necessarily have submitted a grant, but is interested in building in Cosmos and the Cosmos Hub. So don't be scared. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are here to help, and also for people to navigate the stack, of course, how they can build, how they can deploy, and who perhaps they should talk to in the Cosmos ecosystem, right? Because there's a lot of, it's very decentralized in many ways. There's a lot of different actors, so we help navigate all that. So yeah, don't be a stranger. Just raise your hand if you're interested.
All right, I'll raise my hand. Okay. Well, thank you, all the listeners. Thank you for tuning in, and I will end the interview for today. And we will be, as we move forward with the Road to Dubai program, we will have much more opportunities for technical workshops or any other ways in which we can engage with builders. So I hope you're all having a wonderful evening today, and thank you for tuning in.